In this video, you're going to learn how to set up users, investors, and development companies or entities. In Proforma Plus, users create projects. Projects require development companies, which are owned by investors. So before we begin anything else, we're going to learn how to set up those fundamental components. To set up a new user, press the Setup button in the menu banner and press Users. This screen shows users that are already active in the system. To add a new user, I press the Add User button in the top right corner of the screen, and the Add User dialog box appears. The fields with red stars are required. Enter a valid email address, then define the user level. There are 3 levels: Admin, Project Manager, and Reviewer. An admin is the highest level access and can do anything on the system. The project manager can create and edit projects but cannot access the setup screens. The reviewer is read-only access and cannot create or modify any data. Enter a first and last name. The mobile number is useful but optional. It shows up on the setup screen when you assign a project manager to the project. Every user requires a license key. To the right side of this box, it shows the number of keys used and the number of keys purchased. To add a license key to this user, press the Add Key button and the license key populates. If you need more licenses, you can click the Buy More License button and it will take you to the registration page. You need to enter a temporary password that the user can change later on. It needs to be at least 8 characters long and contain a special character, an uppercase character, a lowercase character, and at least 1 number. Re-enter it to confirm. The default status is active. If you want to deactivate a user, you can just press the Inactive button and the user will become inactive. He won't drop from the system, but he won't show as an active user anymore. Press Save to continue. Now we've added a new user to our system and he shows at the top of the screen. Now select Investors. Just like with users, to add a new user, press the Add Investor button at the top right corner of the screen and the Add Investor dialog box appears. If the investor is an individual, enter the first and last name and skip the organization. If the investor is an organization, you'll still put the first and last name of the primary owner of that organization followed by the organization name. This particular example is an individual, so we'll just add the individual name. Address 1 is required. Address 2 is not, along with city, state, and zip. Again, default status is active. You can make this investor inactive, and they will drop from the list. They will not be deleted from the system. They just won't show on the screen. Save to continue. Now we're going to add a development company under Entity. To add a new entity, press the Add Entity button and the Add Entity dialog box disappears. Just like the others, the fields with red stars are required. Entity type can be any of those provided in the drop-down. Save to continue. The Edit Entity dialog box disappears with the Ownership tab selected. What it's looking for is the name of the investor that owns this particular entity. I can leave this blank for now and move on, or I can select one of the investors from my investor list in the Edit Owner dialog box and select an investor from our list. We're going to make it our recently added investor, Bill Johnson. And he's going to default to 100% ownership. But he's not a limited partner. He's the general partner or the sponsor, so we're going to change his status to sponsor. And I'm going to update this entity. Now I'm going to close the screen. Now we've added a new development company under entity, and we've identified Bill Johnson as that entity's primary owner. In any of these screens, if I want to edit any of the entities, instead of adding it here, in any of these screens, to edit an existing user, investor, or entity, I could come to the edit icon that looks like a pencil to the right, click that, and the edit dialog box will appear. Any of this information can be changed. Always save your changes. If I wanted to delete an entity or an investor or a user, I would go to the delete icon that looks like the red trash can and select delete. Before deleting, however, the system is going to make sure that the user, investor, or entity is not tied to an existing project. If it's tied to an existing project, it will warn you that there is a project that this is tied to and it won't let you delete it. You'll have to remove that entity from the project and then delete the entity or the investor or the user. That's all for this video.